I'm sitting in cold Wisconsin, but I can't help but remember my hometown of Redlands, California. Come with me on a walk I used to take. I'll start here with this church. That symbol stands for the Christian and Missionary Alliance denomination, making a fourfold claim that Jesus is Savior, Sanctifier, Healer, and Coming King. It's the church I attended because it was my dad who was pastor here for over 2 decades. The people would spill out the front door after the service, and of course, I had a number of friends here. Now we'll walk down Cajon Street toward my home. This walk used to take me exactly 25 minutes. Redlands was marked by these beautiful palm-lined streets. It was also a well-churched city. On this corner is a red brick Congregational church, a mission-style Baptist church, a YWCA, and then a modernist Methodist church. But on we go toward downtown Redlands. Coming up on the right are a number of small stores and then a cafe. There goes a sign advertising one of the constant little events that are always coming up. A block this way and you'll reach the A.K. Smiley Public Library. This is a photo of the front entrance, and then here's one of the Quaker brothers who founded it. This building right to the side used to be City Hall, then it became a police station, and now I find it is being turned into a historical museum. The museum's website gives a virtual tour of the building. If we look back this way, we see the site of the small and miserable gum-under-the-seats Rainbow Theater, Redlands' only movie theater for the longest time. But back to our walk. We're now proceeding into the downtown proper, which really begins as we cross Citrus Avenue. Now, on one side, to our left, is the Redlands Mall, which is definitely small in the universe of malls, but looms large for Redlanders because of its centralized position. Turning back the other way, we find ourselves facing State Street. This is Main Street, our tree-lined, shady central business district. As with many such main streets, businesses here find it hard to compete with the new stores on the outskirts of the city. It can be difficult to find parking. Classic businesses like Redlands Camera now stand vacant. Here's an interesting mural I should show you. This was our self-image, a land of palm trees, orange groves, and at the foot of the mountains. If we continue just a little further up State Street, we come to my former place of employment, Much Ado About Books. It was the small independent bookstore in town, willing to make odd special orders, willing to stock local books, and putting on reading groups. Hey, there I am, ready to help you. Even send a fax. But all is changed utterly. My bookstore closed long ago. Every Thursday evening this was the setting for market night, one of the outdoor markets that now seem to be everywhere. You could catch a Peruvian group playing pipes, or, if you listen carefully, you might see this guy, with a showman's hat, noodling away at an inexpensive electronic keyboard. Oddly enough, he became my creative hero, a model of an artist who creates for the sake of creating, and is happy with a small audience, famous for chumps. Let's get back to Orange Street now and head home. We're going north, leaving the downtown behind. We cross Redlands Boulevard, and now on the right are some old buildings, giving a sense of how this area must have once looked. There's a bar with a classic flamingo sign, and next to it used to be a large second-hand store and vacuum cleaner store. It all looks nicely ungentrified to my eye. On the other side of the street is the old railroad station. This long columned building is a favorite with artists and photographers. It's the sort of thing you want hanging in your home. It says, Redlands Classic. But what I remember is skateboarding through this empty hall and seeing its boarded up windows. They also put up signs. No skateboarders. We're now approaching a mission-style shopping center. None of this was here back in the mid-'80s. There used to be a lot more of the old run-down buildings. It used to be an Albertsons grocery store, but I seem to recall that it became a Vons. This building on the left was once a warehouse music and video store. That's where I used to rent Woody Allen or Fellini films. A little further on is this odd building, and there's a story here. As they were developing this area, it was decided that the Deming building, that's this building here, was of historic value and could not be torn down. It was one of those old-style buildings, but with a twist. Right on the middle of its facade was what looked like a swastika. Actually, it was an Indian peace symbol. Who wants to develop a building with something that looks like a swastika? They compromised and allowed the developers to cover the emblem permanently, but not remove the emblem. But what kind of compromise is that? And how is it preserving a building if you paint it to look like all the other cheap stucco constructions nearby? Up ahead, we're going under the 10 freeway. To the right is Indio and other desert cities like Palm Springs. To the left is Los Angeles in about 60 minutes. Going under the freeway isn't as dramatic as it seems here, but it does mark a real change. We're now in North Redlands, a decided step down economically from the old money back on the hill. But this is where I'm from. Here's the Stater Brothers where we often went grocery shopping. Across the street is a piece of public art, a musical note. This marks the spot where long, long ago there was a Redlands Opera House. Now it's just another strip mall. We're continuing down Orange Street, and since we drove this so often, I could point out where we customarily stop for gas or other things. Coming up is a place whose story I've never told. One time my best friend Mike and I decided to stay out all night. We were in high school, and I told my parents I'd be at his house, and he told his parents that he'd be at my house, but we walked around Redlands till late at night and thought we would sleep in a little room back of the church. We were freezing, and early in the morning we tried to walk back to my house. I don't remember shivering so hard in my whole life. I didn't think I could make it, but luckily this laundromat was open 24 hours, and it was decently warm inside, so we were saved. Here's a picture of my friend Mike from an occasion in Maine when we got washed out of our tent and had to wait out a storm in the bathroom. I always think about how much I owe this place when I drive by it or happen to pass it by while navigating on Google Maps. We're now moving through a long straightaway that includes car dealerships, convenience stores, houses, and at least one church. There was once a small house along here whose front yard was gloriously overgrown with flowers and vines. It was an inspiration. But I learned that the man who tended it had died, and now I can't even figure out which house was his. Now we're coming up to the intersection of Orange Street with Ligonia Avenue. Take a right here and you are heading up to Mentone and the mountains. This intersection is also where my family had a terrible car accident one day coming home from church. A truck made a left-hand turn right in front of us and we hit him pretty much at full speed. Everyone was okay, but my parents were taken to the hospital in an ambulance and my little sister had to have a lot of stitches. At the time when we had the accident, there was a Chevron station here on this corner lot. One day I was skateboarding and I hit my shins really hard. I had to sit down under these trees on the left and wait for the sting to pass. A Hispanic man who spoke no English saw what had happened and he sat near me to make sure I was okay. On his face was obvious concern. It was an act of kindness I won't forget. North Redlands as a whole has historically been home to a large Hispanic community. This small hut or cabin is, I'm pretty sure, a remnant of the days when Hispanic laborers worked in the orange groves nearby. It's all boarded up now, but this would be my choice for a historic site that should be preserved. We're coming up now to Pennsylvania Avenue, and we make a left here. On the corner is a fire station. This was built in the year we moved to Redlands. They had to tear down orange groves to clear the space. Oranges are our favorite civic symbol, and our favorite images of ourselves are those lies they call orange crate labels. These were the images that arrived across the nation in winter along with their sweet navel oranges. It's part of the process of selling a place and selling a dream. Just past the fire station is a large apartment complex, also built on land that used to be orange groves, within my memory, and thus it's named Orange Village. My friend Mike moved here shortly after getting married, and here's a photo I took from a balcony within this complex. Okay, we're closing in on my house. One thing I should mention is that my parents sold this house a couple years ago, at the height of the housing market. They're gone. Now we're turning here on Ohio Street, and our house was the fourth one on the left. It's now someone else's house, but just there on the lawn, we once stood for a family portrait. And getting into the car, someone took this picture of me when I was young. And on the sidewalk, I spent hours skating. Yes, that same sidewalk. But everything comes to an end. It has to, I guess.